All right, welcome back. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. We are talking about love beyond loss on To The Point tonight. Guests are already in studio. We have just right next to me is Dr. Betha Gaitho. Dr. Betha is the CEO and founder of Muungano wa Wajane and is also a counselor. Right next to her is Margaret Ngima, a business lady and a young widow. And we have Shutterboy. Shutterboy is a media personality. We have to all agree that Shutterboy is home, and I hope that my guests tonight also just feel at home. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing, Dr.
Very well, thank you.
You're excited to be here?
Glad to be here.
Glad to see you. How are you doing, Margaret?
I'm well. Yes.
Shutterboy?
Yes.
You're home. How are you doing though?
Niko po.
All right, all right. Let me just start right here with Dr. You are the CEO and founder of Muungano wa Wajane. Tell us the thought process for forming this organization.
Thank you very much. I wish to say I've worked with the widows long before I was a widow myself. And when my husband passed on in the year 2011, it was not a new business to me, but it was a new experience. And after experiencing and going through what other widows have gone, which for me, I talked like they were stories or they were those things that I knew very well. It is then that I came to realize I knew nothing. Therefore, after experiencing those things in reality, after going through what the rest have gone through, I came to think around what can be done. What can we do to make this thing easier on the life of a widow? I made a few sums on my own life. I said, my husband passed on when I was let me not say an old woman, but mwenye alikuwa amekoma. My children are grown, left in my own home, had a lot of knowledge in doing business and other things. And then I thought, this life is just too hard on me, it's like killing me. I reflected on a young girl who has been left young with small children, maybe in a rented house, maybe with very hostile relatives, those kind of things. One that did not know anything other than a husband coming in the evening to bring food and for her to cook and take care of the children. It dawned on me that things might be just too hard for her. It is then that I thought, what can we do? One, we better bring to the attention of the people that there is somebody called a widow. And it is not just another woman who has been left in the world to fend for herself. It is a woman with a baggage who has some respect for herself as somebody's wife and cannot just do anything. And I do some small calculations. Around that time, widows were like 3 million or 4 there. And then I thought of 4 million, a cool 4 million. If we say every widow has one child, that is another 4 million. What is the impact on the economy of the country if these children do not go to school, are not anything to say they are good citizens? I found we had to do something. That something is what brought the Muungano wa Wajane. Yes. All
right, but Dr. before I bring, of course, Margaret and Shutterboy in, you mentioned that you started working with widows even before you became one.
Yes.
So what was really the drive? Before you became a widow, you were already looking out for them.
Yes.
What was the drive behind it?
The drive was this. My husband was an archbishop of a church. That is the great AIPCA church. And being now the wife, I thought, what can I do to complement his leadership? It is then there I formed or founded again the AIPCA Women Council. And since the year 2000, I became the chair to it, which I am to date. I'm the national chair to the Council of Women AIPCA. And it is then when the Archbishop was doing his work, I thought, how do I come in? I started doing, I brought the women on the top leadership, and it is there that we started doing national events. National events, one of them that we do to date, it is actually for next August, coming month, was bringing together all the women in AIPCA Church to a conference which takes 4 days in a place where you share, you talk, you do a lot of things together. It is then again there I found the widows were also not very well taken care of in the church. And that is how I started, because there is a day when we put them into their settings, the married ones, the widows, the singles, this way. So I found that there are very many widows in the church, and that is how I started working with them. You could find they were coming to the church, you thought they were all right, but they were not all right, because what the church says is about being righteous, remaining righteous, and being very faithful to the religion. But there is more to it than praying and fasting. And it is then that I started thinking, then what can we do? But in the presence of the Archbishop, it was a bit strong and it was a bit powerful, because I had his backing. So we would identify a widow who has been chased away by the relatives. We would go and negotiate, and they would come back. Or we would build a house, we would take children to school. Actually, when he passed on, I had 9 children in school. And I thank God, because he helped me, help them complete their education. And that is how I got myself into this, even before I was not one of them.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Margaret, you look quite young, and maybe I'm sorry to assume, but do you mind walking us through your experience as a young widow?
Thank you. The experience has not been smooth. I lost my husband back in April 2022 after a tragic road accident, and I was left with 2 young babies. The smallest was just 4 months old. It has been a painful journey, especially solo parenting. We used to co-parent with him. We used to assist each other, and now I'm left alone to look after the babies. It has been tough, being the mother and the father. It has not been easy, but I thank God that He has given me the grace. Yeah.
Shatta boy.
Yeah, man.
How has the experience been like for you, Shatta?
Well, it's been an experience. Just like the way you're saying it, if there's something I've learned throughout my life, is that when life deals me a hand, I decide to be a student, and I decide to learn. Because every day I ask myself, what is life teaching me? What do I take from this? And the first thing that I learned from this one is that people leave you. The moment your person is gone, after the burial, people disappear. And then now reality sinks in. You see, when you lose your loved one, you lose your wife, your husband, people will come, mpange mazishi. Then after the burial, you go back home and you realize now it's me and the children. You know, because now you have to reach out to people. Guys, I'm planning this, I'm doing this. Will you come by? And then you have a million questions that you need to answer every day from the kids. Answers that you do not have because no one has prepared you. Even as you listen to Daktari speaking, mostly it was widows, ladies. Like, it is, quote, natural that men go first, you know? So nobody prepares a man for a situation where it is the wife that went first.
Right.
You know, so it's a journey. It is still a process. We are learning through it, but we soldier on. Being a dad and a mom, yeah.
A dad, mom, Shatta, for how many years, if you don't mind, for you? Well,
this is the first anniversary. Actually, was last week when we were supposed to have this show. That was the first anniversary because she passed on last year, June 25th. We did the burial 1st of July. And now it's been 1 year.
1 year is so fresh, Shatta. So how do you cope with now coming into terms with she's gone? Have you moved on from it, maybe?
Well, I don't think there's moving on to it. Only time will tell. But right now, it's still, as you say, it's still very fresh. You have very fresh memories of the plans you had. You know, if there's one thing that you think you have, it's time. Like, even when she was sick, you're in the hospital bed and you're planning your future. You're saying, so when you leave here, we are going to do this, we're going to do that. Then the following day you wake up and now you're thinking, yes, we had these plans. So what? How do I proceed with these plans? Whom do I tell these plans we had? You know? So it's still very fresh, and there's no day that I would say it's not felt like it felt that day. It was on a Sunday morning, actually. It still remains fresh to date. So I think what will happen is that maybe you will learn to live with it. I will learn to live with it, but I don't see it getting old. Yeah.
Margaret, Dr. said for her, the husband left when she was of age. She didn't want to use old. But for you, did it get you as a shocker? Have you really moved on from it?
Of course.
How did you handle it, rather?
Of course, it was a big shock. I had not seen him going. We had our wedding in December 2020. Then he was involved in an accident in April 2022. So it was less than 2 years. We had dreams. We had just gotten our second born baby. So I did not expect it. So it was a big thing. It was a turnover, but seeing the children, I had to accept. Now that I realized that I'm the only surviving parent, the children are young, they need me. So losing myself would mean now a total loss to the children. So I had to accept and to move on. So I would say yes, I've accepted, I've moved on, I'm facing life. Yeah, but it's not easy.
All right, Dr.
Yes.
Now, these are a young widow, a young widower.
Yes.
So how do you help them now as a counselor and as the CEO of this foundation that caters to widows? And just to ask, do you only cater to women or men as well?
Let me first go to where I started. One, death does not go away. And death, as long as you are together, you always feel it. I might have been left when I was in my older years, but let me tell you, he'll be 13 years coming Saturday 13th, and that thing looks like yesterday. He was sick. He fell sick for like 4 years, and every time you could see things were changing. But there was nowhere in my heart that told me today or tomorrow he might not be there. Somebody is always very hopeful that something is about to happen to the better. Therefore, there will not come anybody, even in the 40th year, and tell you that that thing has gone away completely. I don't remember that person. Again, it depends on how were you going along. You know, there have been people who have been all the time on one another, a lot of things happening. Again, that time is dictated by the ongoings in your lifetime. But for my son here and daughter, what I can see, this thing is very fresh. But the first thing to know is it will never be over as long as you live. Even if you go into another relationship, that thing will always come, because it is one person and no one person is the other person. Therefore, what I would tell them is this: that thing is like a scar. It doesn't go away. Once you get a cut, it remains with you. So what do? You only live with it. You only agree to live with it. Don't live in denial. Don't live in regrets. Don't blame yourself. Don't start thinking, if I did this or this, if I took her to this hospital, she did not go out that day. Just know you have a life to live. And it's not about your own life. We confess there are children that are in this life. Therefore, though we would say, you don't have to say you are very strong for the children, because of course they got their own life and there is the feeling and the relation to this gone person. But you still need to hold on to it, because these children are looking up on you. There is even the in-laws, there are even the parents, the actual parents are also there. They have also lost. But in essence, the core thing is to say, it is a scar, we have got to live with it, but we must move on. What matters is for how long? For how long? We don't have a definite time for staying in it, because it depends on your energy, it depends on your way of seeing things, and of course the people interact. Yes.
All right, let's take a very short break at this point, but when we come back we want to just find out how is love, finding love being like for you, Shata and Margaret, and maybe Dr. if there is, after of course your loss, after this break.